Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The question on everyone's mind after this past week in the NFL is simple. Did the Miami Dolphins actually steal from the Pittsburgh Steelers in that blockbuster trade that sent Minkah Fitzpatrick to Miami and Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh? On the surface, trades in professional sports are tricky things, full of moving parts, timing, and expectations. But as we watch the aftermath unfold, it is becoming increasingly clear that the Dolphins may not have just benefited from the swap, they may have outright won it, and in a very big way. The evidence lies in the contrast between the performances of the players involved and the results their teams are seeing, and it starts with the man Miami sent for Fitzpatrick. Minkah's impact against the New Orleans Saints at Hard Rock Stadium was nothing short of heroic, in a game that ended 21-17 in favor of Miami. Fitzpatrick's presence was felt on virtually every key play, culminating in a defining moment that could only be described as game-changing. His first career sack in his 118th NFL game was impressive, yes, but the real headline came when he intercepted Tyler Shaw on a two-point conversion attempt and returned it for points. That play alone was a pivotal moment, essentially swinging momentum fully in favor of the Dolphins. Later, when the Saints threatened with a late drive that brought them into field goal range, it was Miami's defense that stood firm, holding them to no points and sealing the victory. Minkah Fitzpatrick had become a symbol of defensive excellence overnight. And for a team in need of leadership and playmaking in the secondary, Miami could hardly have asked for more. Contrast that with the experiences of Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith in Pittsburgh, and the story becomes even clearer. At Acrisure Stadium, Pittsburgh suffered a humiliating home defeat against the Buffalo Bills, a loss that amplified every question about their roster decisions. Jonnu Smith's production, once so central to Miami's short passing game, has collapsed dramatically in that particular game. He caught one pass for 6 yards onto targets, one catch, 6 yards, and a quarterback visibly frustrated enough to call him out by name for running the wrong route. That moment, simple as it was, underscored the growing narrative. Smith, for all his promise, had struggled to adjust in a new environment with different responsibilities and teammates. Meanwhile, Jalen Ramsey's presence on the field was noticeable only because of what he failed to accomplish. He made tackles, sure, but the vast majority came after the opposing offense had already gained 15 yards or more. Only once did he stop a play for fewer than 5 yards. The Steelers had gambled on moving Ramsey to safety and integrating him into a different defensive system, and early returns suggested that gamble was not paying off, at least not in a way that matched the expectations set when the trade was announced. Statistically, the differences are stark, and when we examine team metrics, Miami's advantage is even clearer. Fitzpatrick, according to the latest PFF grades, is ranked second among 83 NFL safeties. By comparison, Ramsey, even after moving to a hybrid safety role, ranks 33rd among cornerbacks. Miami sits 14th in the NFL in pass defense and 23rd in total defense, while Pittsburgh languishes 28th in both categories. These numbers suggest that the Dolphins, despite giving up to high-profile players, have received vastly superior production from their new defensive star, even if one discounts grades as a perfect measure. The narrative on the field tells the same story. Miami's defense is performing better, and Fitzpatrick is a driving force behind that improvement. Jonnu Smith's decline in production cannot be overlooked either. After a career year in 2024, where he totaled 88 catches for 884 yards and 8 touchdowns, Smith's numbers in Pittsburgh are sobering. 30 catches for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns over 12 games signal a player struggling to find his place. The absence of any single game with more than 30 receiving yards and a season high of 5 catches in Week 1 highlights a dramatic drop-off from the previous season, when he reached 5 catches 8 times and 50 receiving yards 8 times as well. Pittsburgh expected a dip due to the presence of fellow tight ends Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, but the scale of the decline is shocking. What should be noted, however, is that Miami's offense could arguably have used Smith in certain moments, particularly during the first 3 weeks when Darren Waller was still recovering from injuries, including a hip injury and later a pectoral issue that placed him on injured reserve. Still, even if Smith had been available, there is no guarantee he could have replicated the production he had in 2024. Given that Miami's system and quarterback situation are different from Pittsburgh's, in evaluating the trade overall, it is crucial to consider the context surrounding the players' situations. Beyond just the numbers, Minkah Fitzpatrick was leaving a team willing to part ways with him, a player who had reached a point where his presence could be a source of tension. The Dolphins were able to acquire him while addressing a defensive need, and the results speak for themselves. On the flip side, Pittsburgh took on to players who were highly talented, yes, but whose fit within the team's current scheme has not translated into success. Jonnu Smith, once a go-to target for Tua Tagovailoa, is not producing in a meaningful way, and Jalen Ramsey's transition to safety has not bolstered Pittsburgh's pass defense as hoped. Miami, in contrast, gained a game-changing defensive player who has already made high-impact plays that directly correlate to wins. Financially, both sides made commitments, yet the payoff is clearly slanted toward Miami at this stage of the season. Each player received contracts reflecting their value, but when performance on the field is the ultimate metric, the Dolphins are getting far more return on investment. It is not just the statistics or PFF grades, it is the tangible impact Fitzpatrick has on the game, the leadership and morale boost for the Dolphins' defense, and the way he has become a catalyst for critical stops in tight games. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh is grappling with underwhelming results from Smith and Ramsey, alongside visible chemistry issues that have already manifested in public criticism and suboptimal play. What this all underscores is the unpredictable nature of NFL trades, where talent alone does not determine success. Fit within a system, leadership, and timing are crucial, and Miami seems to have executed all of those aspects perfectly. They acquired a player who thrives in their defensive scheme and immediately improved their pass defense. Pittsburgh, conversely, inherited the skilled athletes whose potential has not yet materialized into the hoped-for results. The contrast could not be starker. This trade serves as a case study in how a well-timed, well-considered acquisition can drastically outperform expectations, while a trade that looks balanced on paper can falter when team context and player roles do not align. Ultimately, the Dolphins have solidified themselves as the clear beneficiaries of this trade. Minkah Fitzpatrick's heroics against New Orleans were just the latest in a series of performances that validate the team's decision. Jonnu Smith's struggles in Pittsburgh and Jalen Ramsey's modest impact highlight the pitfalls that can accompany moves that appear favorable on paper but fail in execution. Miami did not just make a trade, they orchestrated a strategic masterstroke, turning a potential risk into a major advantage for the current season. It is a scenario that underscores the importance of vision, timing, and understanding the intangible factors that influence player success. The Steelers, for all their talent acquisition, are still searching for the cohesion and results that make trades meaningful. Miami, meanwhile, is reveling in a defensive resurgence led by Fitzpatrick, a player whose presence alone is shaping games and altering outcomes. At this point, the verdict is clear. Miami did more than win a trade, they may have stolen it outright. And the ramifications of this move will be discussed and analyzed for years as a textbook example of how to turn player acquisitions into immediate, impactful success. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments what's your take on the Fins this week. Hold on to your seats, folks, because the NFL rumor mill is on fire tonight. And if you thought you'd seen bold moves before, the latest word coming out of Miami is shaking the league to its core. Sources close to the Dolphins organization are whispering no, practically shouting that the team's owner has decided to make a radical decision regarding the quarterback position, and not sometime next week or next month, but today. Yes, you heard that correctly, today. The chatter around the league suggests that the Dolphins are not just tinkering around the edges. They are potentially about to pull the trigger on a major shakeup at the heart of their offense, a move that could reverberate across the entire NFL landscape, and the man at the center of this swirling storm, none other than Jordan Alexander-Love. Currently with the Green Bay Packers, the whispers are insistent, almost conspiratorial, with insiders claiming that negotiations are heating up, and that the Dolphins are determined to secure him as their new signal caller. For those who might not be as familiar, Jordan Love is a quarterback who has drawn a lot of attention over the years for his arm talent, his mobility, and his potential to be a franchise-defining player. Born and raised in Bakersfield, California, Love cut his teeth on the gridiron at Liberty High School, where he first began to make waves as a young, promising quarterback. From those high school beginnings, He progressed to the professional level with the Packers, learning behind established veterans and refining the tools that many analysts believe could one day make him a superstar. And now, the Dolphins apparently see him as the missing piece of their puzzle. The rumors swirling around South Florida suggest that the team's front office has had its eye on Love for a while, but until now, it was unclear if they had the appetite or the leverage to make such a bold move. The mere suggestion that the owner has signed off on a same-day quarterback change is enough to make every NFL fan in Miami and beyond sit up and take notice. Insiders claim the urgency of this move stems from a combination of factors that are rarely discussed in public but are widely known inside locker rooms and executive suites. Pressure from fans, performance expectations, and the desire to make a definitive statement about the future of the franchise. The Dolphins, according to the rumor mill, are not content to simply continue on a slow, measured path. They want a quarterback who embodies both immediate capability and long-term potential. Someone who can inject energy into the locker room and create a sense of momentum that the team has struggled to find consistently. Jordan Love fits that profile in the eyes of the people inside the organization. He's young, he's talented, and he has the raw tools that, with the right coaching and environment, could elevate an entire offense. There's a reason why these rumors are not being dismissed as idle chatter. Insiders are talking about phone calls being made, trade talks being discussed, and even medical and contract contingencies being prepared, all under a veil of secrecy that only adds fuel to the fire. The implications of such a move are staggering. If the Dolphins do indeed move to acquire Love, it could set off a domino effect across the league. Packers fans are already reportedly bracing for the possibility of losing a player they've been developing for years, and the ripple effect could touch multiple franchises depending on how trades and roster decisions play out in response. Analysts and pundits are quietly speculating that this could represent a new era for Miami, a willingness to gamble on talent and shake up the status quo in a way that few NFL teams are willing to do. The pressure on the coaching staff, the front office, and Love himself would be immense, but the upside, according to those in the know, is equally massive. This isn't just about swapping quarterbacks. It's about signaling to the entire league that the Dolphins are serious, bold, and ready to make waves. Adding another layer to the intrigue is the timing. The notion that this could happen on the same day that the decision was made suggests a sense of urgency and decisiveness rarely seen in professional sports. Typically, quarterback transitions are planned with months of preparation, playbook adjustments, and team chemistry considerations. Yet here we are, with rumors hinting at a same-day decision that could put Love in the middle of a completely new system almost immediately. Sources are hinting that behind closed doors, the Dolphins owner is pushing hard for a dramatic statement, one that says loud and clear that mediocrity is not acceptable and that the franchise is willing to swing for the fences to change its trajectory. Fans are already buzzing on social media, dissecting every potential scenario, every past performance, and every report from insiders claiming to have a finger on the pulse of the situation. Analysts are speculating on the fit, questioning how Love's style of play would mesh with the Dolphins' offensive scheme, and debating what kind of impact a sudden arrival could have on team dynamics, locker room culture, and on-field production. Meanwhile, commentators are pointing out the sheer audacity of the reported move. Making a quarterback change mid-season or even mid-preparation is a bold maneuver. Doing it with a player like Jordan Love, who carries both promise and the weight of expectation, turns the rumor mill into a wildfire. What's particularly fascinating about this story is the contrast between past speculation and the current intensity of the chatter. Previously, Love was seen as a player with potential waiting in the wings, someone who might be given a chance in Green Bay eventually, but only after a measured build-up. Now, the conversation has shifted dramatically. The Dolphins are reportedly ready to accelerate the timeline, to leapfrog the usual protocols, and to make a statement not just to their own fan base, but to the league at large. It's the kind of decision that could define a franchise's identity for years, a move that screams ambition, impatience, and a willingness to embrace risk on a scale rarely seen in professional football. And the buzz isn't stopping with just Love's potential arrival. Sources suggest that discussions are ongoing regarding the supporting cast around him, adjustments to the offensive line, changes in play calling, and even tweaks to the broader team strategy to accommodate what insiders describe as a once-in-a-generation talent with unique traits. The rumor mill is alive with speculation, with each new whisper adding layers of complexity, painting a picture of a team on the brink of transformation. Even rival teams are said to be keeping a close eye, wondering if Miami's bold maneuver could force a cascade of strategic adjustments across the league. In the midst of all this, the human element looms large. How will Love handle the pressure of being thrust into such a high-stakes situation? How will teammates respond to a sudden leadership change? Can the Dolphins execute a seamless integration under the glare of national attention? Every detail, from contract negotiations to playbook familiarity, becomes magnified in this context, and while nothing is officially confirmed, the weight of insider chatter, the consistency of sources, and the urgency implied by a same-day potential move suggest that this story is far from idle speculation. This is a rumor that could evolve into one of the most dramatic quarterback transitions in recent memory, a story that fans, analysts, and commentators will be dissecting for months, perhaps even years, to come as the league holds its breath. One thing is clear: if the Dolphins do indeed follow through and make Jordan Love their new quarterback, we're witnessing the beginning of a saga filled with tension, excitement, and uncharted possibilities. The rumor alone has already set off waves, igniting conversations about talent evaluation, franchise risk-taking, and the unpredictable nature of professional sports. From Bakersfield to Green Bay to Miami, Love's journey could take a sudden, seismic turn, and the NFL world is watching, waiting for confirmation, and imagining the dramatic ripple effects of what could be one of the boldest moves in recent football history. Whether this ends in triumph, controversy, or a mix of both, one thing is indisputable: the Dolphins and Jordan Love are at the center of a storm that has the entire league talking, speculating, and holding their breath in anticipation. The rumor has legs, the intrigue is palpable, and the narrative is unfolding in real time. A story that might redefine not just a season, but the identity of a franchise hungry for change and willing to take extraordinary risks to achieve it. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!